So here we have another pathogen that's on your required list. This is the host right here, and you can see this furrowed, fairly thick furrowed bark, but it's clearly not a pine. The host in this case is grand fir, or the grand fir white fir hybrid. If we look up, we see there's a large conch on the trunk. That conch has a blackish, toothy, spore-bearing surface, and I collected a conch just moments ago, and we would describe this conch as hoof-shaped. So it is definitely in the shape of a horse's hoof. It has those blackish to grayish teeth on the bottom, and you can see a groove here where a dead branch stub sat. And when I collected the conch, the branch stub stayed with the tree, but that's where it fit. Now let's just take a look over here at the decay, and the decay is from the breakage of this tree. Same tree that we just looked at, same species of host, and here's our broken top down here. So if we look at the decay, pull away some of the blackberries, here's our decay, and it is old, so it is faded somewhat. But what would we describe it as? It's a stringy, delaminating decay in the mid-trunk, and here's the laminations coming apart. You can see that it's delaminating. And I will tell you that when this decay were fresh, it would have a much more reddish cast to it. And if we look inside the log, we find that the log is very heavily decayed, and we have this rusty, stringy rot right here, and this is what caused the tree to break. And now for the final identification piece, we can take a look at the interior of the conch, and we find out that it is this beautiful brick red orange color. And so what are your conclusions regarding the species? If you said Indian paint fungus or rust red stringy rot, you got it. This is Echinodontium tinctorium. And we say the name Indian paint fungus comes from the purported use of the dried conch as a dye. I've had a number of students try dyeing materials with this, and it does work. However, the dye does not seem to stay in, say, a cotton t-shirt or something like that. So it's likely that if Native Americans did use this for coloration, they probably were mixing it with something like animal fat to create a paint. And it's likely that there were other plants you could mix it with to make that dye set better. And it certainly may set better in something like leather than in cotton. In any case, this is one that we see in true firs, abies, and hemlock. So western hemlock and abies are the main hosts. We're not worried about this species in larch, ponderosa, Douglas fir. So what's the ecological function? And we've already seen it here in the hollow log, and we talked about it previously. When you have trees that are either downed as logs and hollow or standing as snags and hollow, we get a wealth of wildlife habitat opportunities. This particular species, Echinodontium, is associated with the nesting trees of pileated woodpecker, our largest woodpecker in North America. So what do managers do about paint fungus? Avoid wounding trees, avoid managing heavy concentrations of white fir, and simply live with it. Favor other species, leave some big white firs with paint fungus for the wildlife and ecosystem functions.